Halloween does not number among the traditional holidays of East Asia. Born from the confluence of the Christian feast of All Hallows Eve and the Gaelic festival Samhain, which, to be clear, is the one that looks to anglophonize like it should be pronounced Samhain, the modern celebration of Halloween was born in the United States. Scottish and Irish immigrants in the 19th century brought traditions like jack-o'-lanterns and guising, the precursor to trick-or-treating. And over the years, Halloween has shed a lot of the old Christian trappings to become more about having fun and getting some lighthearted scares. Which isn't to say that the religious customs of All Hallows Eve have completely gone by the wayside. Those traditions are very much alive in some places, though the practices vary depending on whether you're talking about Catholics or one of the various branches of Protestantism. The Orthodox Church isn't a fan. But the secular, and let's face it, commercialized version of Halloween, with the emphasis on costumes and parties, that's the one that's been exported to places like Japan and South Korea. We can mostly credit the general pop culture osmosis that comes from the United States' outsized influence on the rest of the world. But we can also pinpoint more specific events under that umbrella, like the annual Halloween celebrations that have been held at Tokyo Disneyland for nearly a quarter century. So even though Halloween hasn't really been a thing for very long in the places where vocalsynth music is the most popular, it nonetheless seems to be the favorite holiday of the scene. And I think this holds true across the board, regardless of where any one songwriter comes from or what language they write their lyrics in. I started working on this episode by going to the Vocaloid Lyrics Wiki and simply searching for the term Halloween. I got dozens and dozens of results. And that's without even considering the countless other spooky songs out there whose titles might instead feature words like pumpkin or some variation of trick or treat. They range from cutesy pop numbers about candy corn or whatever to sweetly sung horror stories. And though I can't include every single piece I found, I hope these Halloween hymns will haunt your music libraries evermore. That was terrible. Enjoy the episode. So, this topic doesn't lend itself to a chronological narrative the same way my first few episodes have, so apologies if things are a bit disjointed this time around. That said, a lot of the songs I'll be talking about today are as much about storytelling as they are about melody. One of the earliest and most popular examples of this is Oster Project's Trick and Treat with Kagamine Rin and Len. Released October 30th, 2008, it's the tale of a trusting girl who is lured into the deepest, darkest woods by Rin and Len. They seem friendly at first, offering syrupy sweets and gentle dreams, but their intentions are not so kind. It's a dark narrative, but Rin and Len's vocals keep it pretty cute, and the music veers between moods measure by measure. I remember years ago I put the Jubiphonic English cover into a playlist for a Halloween party, and it was one of the only songs out of dozens that I remember anyone commenting on. My friend said it sounded like a Halloween video game level, which from her I do think was a compliment. Another early Halloween hit was Hachi's Mrs. Pumpkin's Comical Dream with Hatsune Miku. It's less of a narrative and more just setting up a spooky scene, but a glance through the YouTube comments will find you plenty of creative speculation on the deeper story, if there is one. A lot of the theories center around the idea of a train accident, and the possibility of either an afterlife spent like a Halloween party, refusing to admit that you're dead, or some kind of dream or hallucination brought on by a near-death experience. It's far from my favorite Hachi song, but I do think it's quite an interesting one for how it showcases a lot of the elements that he would refine into hallmarks of his style in later songs. A loud, hollow-sounding snare drum, complex and often rather menacing bass lines, scratchy guitars paired with unconventional sounds like accordions or chimes, and ambiguous, darkly humorous lyrics. Trick and Treat and Mrs. Pumpkin came out during the late-aughts Vocaloid boom, when Hatsune Miku exploded onto the stage and brought the whole scene with her. Plenty of other artists released Halloween songs in the early period from about 2007 to 2011, and I'll get to some of them shortly. But the next really popular, iconic Halloween song to grace the vocalsynth world wouldn't come until October 10th, 2014, when Junkie released a quirky little number simply titled Happy Halloween. Junkie was one of the first Vocaloid artists I'd ever heard of by way of his song Melancholic, so there's always going to be a soft spot in my heart for his work. That said, he's not one of the artists I pay very close attention to. Happy Halloween was a particularly egregious example of my talent for letting big trends go completely over my head until I'm seemingly the last person in the loop. I had never heard of the song until it featured in the English server of the rhythm game Project Sekai in 2022, and then I wondered how the hell I'd managed to go so long without hearing it. Far more cheerful than some of the other entries in this episode, the song is a paean to all things Halloween. Rin is cast as a candy-mad trick-or-treater in love with every ghoul and grinning pumpkin she sees, eager to prank her neighbors and party all night long. The melody is accordingly upbeat, which might contribute to Happy Halloween's popularity among cover artists. As I mentioned, Project Seika had their cover with idol group More More Jump, along with solo renditions from 3 of its 4 members. And Jubyphonic did an English cover of this song too. I've seen versions with just about every Vocaloid under the sun taking Rin's place, but my personal favorite cover came from singer Round. Though I'm more than a little biased here. Just about everything Round sings becomes my favorite version of it. Happy Halloween remains Junkie's biggest hit, and it has the most views out of anything I'll be discussing in this episode, but there's no shortage of other popular Halloween songs. Kurosawa Madoka released Giga Cartoon Witch, also with Rin, in October 2013. It's not strictly a Halloween song, since it's part of a series that touches on other subjects, but the timing works, and it's definitely got the spookiest vibe out of the bunch. It's also by far Kurosawa's biggest hit, with over 5 million YouTube views. And Kuriyama Yuri, who at the time was going by Hachi and Nanashi, released a song in 2014 called Halloween and Pumpkin Pie with Gumi. It's quite strange, with a lot of mangled English lyrics and an instrumental that reminds me more of Hachi's early work than the stuff Kuriyama's putting out these days, but it's an interesting listen for sure. In a much more polished example of using a Japanese voice bank for English lyrics, R.I.P., also known as R.I. Producer, released a song for Halloween 2020 called What Gave It Away, with Otomachi Una starring as a cute little girl who is not what she seems. R.I.P. is one of those creators whose works are generally pretty scary no matter what time of year they come out. My mind jumps to the genuinely terrifying chronic wasting disease with Asterion, which came out in the springtime. But the explicit Halloween theme on this one adds a nice overtone of mischief to the horror. And then there's the producer Treat Hunters, who has created so many Halloween songs that their other producer name is literally just Halloween P. They're not especially popular. I didn't see a video on their YouTube channel with more than 2,500 views. But they've been releasing music for more than 8 years now, with a sort of high-tempo metal pop style that would probably appeal to fans of artists like Kemu. Of the songs that I listened to from them, Halloween and otherwise, I liked one called Trick Parade the best. It came out in October 2021 and featured Vocaloids Mayu and Kagamine Rin and Synthesizer V voice bank Koharu Rika. Treat Hunters has built a brand around the holiday, but they aren't the only artists with multiple Halloween songs to their name. Plenty have a history of putting out darker and stranger, if not explicitly Halloween-themed, songs in October for multiple years running. Cosmo at Boso P, the mad genius behind classics like The Disappearance of Hatsune Miku, has released some Halloween songs like I Am Hungry with Rin in October 2019 and Dead Man's Ballad the following year with Hatsune Miku and Otomachi Una. I won't go so far as to say I like these songs, since Cosmo's speedcore style is, well, not really my speed, but I have a lot of respect for his talent as an artist, and they're on full display here. There's also Machi Geritapi, one of the most influential horror creators to ever contribute to the Vocaloid scene. What kind of Halloween episode would it be if I didn't talk about the artist behind Rotten Girl Grotesque Romance, or the Darkwood Circus series? And those aren't even the explicitly Halloween-themed songs. For that, you'll want his 1031 series, 5 songs uploaded across 5 Halloweens from 2008 through 2012. They feature a variety of voice banks, often singing as an ensemble, as well as recurring melodic and lyrical motifs, and dark lyrics about strange and wicked creatures getting into all kinds of trouble. Even after 1031 wrapped up, Machi Gerita continued to release unrelated Halloween songs up through 2017. Of these, I think the most technically impressive is Happy Halloween Musicus from 2016. It features the 6 Krypton voice banks as mysterious supernatural musicians who appear on Halloween to give a performance so amazing it kills the audience and brings them back to life. The different Vocaloids are cast as the embodiment of various genres that Machi Gerita has dabbled in, including everything from heavy metal to idol pop, and the song veers between these various sounds throughout. Machi Gerita has since stepped back from Vocaloid, but considering he's put out more music during his 10-odd years on the scene than some do in a lifetime, more the power to him for trying new things. A lesser-known artist whose work I've quite enjoyed is QT Bomber, who released a trilogy of musical theater-inspired songs with Rin and Len each October from 2012 to 2014. These were titled Halloween Magical Theater, Halloween Circus Show, and Halloween Sweets Factory. QT was active for another 2 years after Sweets Factory, and even made some Christmas music to go with the Halloween stuff, but they seem to have since retired. And unlike Machi Gerita, I can't seem to find much evidence of non-Vocaloid music either, though that might just be a matter of me not looking hard enough. That said, there's plenty of Halloween enthusiasts that are still very much active, and a lot of them are on the English side of the scene. Circus P's first proper Halloween song was The Tale of a 10-Year-Old Vampire Queen, released back in 2013. Hatsune Miku stars as a deadly, bloodthirsty creature of the night, who no one can take seriously because she looks like an adorable child who's too short for her little legs to keep up with her prey. He then gave us How to Pretend with Megurine Luka and Gumi in 2016, a fan song inspired by the horror gaming franchise Five Nights at Freddy's, followed by the undead-themed Breathe with Dex in 2017, and ensemble pieces Welcome to the Circus and Zombie in 2018 and 2019. The horrors of 2020 inspired 2 songs. We got Ghoulish with Rin and Len, which is still one of my personal all-time favorites from Circus, and then a Chinese song called Ghost Night Parade with Luo Tianyi. The next 2 years after that saw Slasher with Mayu and Misery Loves Company with Dex. He skipped 2023, and the Halloween song for this year that he teased on Twitter hasn't come out yet as I record. But he also wrote a very Halloween-worthy song for VTuber and singer Mika Magica called Left Your Mark. It came out on October 11th and features some classic sexy vampire motifs. Another artist who might be even more deserving of special Halloween recognition is fellow English producer Kian. Much like R.I.P., his style and lyrics are pretty spooky all year round, but he's also released not 1 but 2 dedicated Halloween-themed EPs. 2023's A Marvelously Ghoulish Collection of Fiendish Delight and Spine-Chilling Fright, yes, that's the whole title, and 2024's Doom and Gloom Party in My Room, aka Hallows Eve Volumes 1 and 2. My favorite song of the lot is probably Ghostly Halloween Party with the Chevio voice banks Rime and Kafu, which is pretty impressive since normally I don't really like Kafu's voice. And I don't think this was intentional, but the use of voice banks intended originally for Japanese instead of English means that all of the TH sounds are swapped for S or Z, in a way that reminds me of old-timey vampire accents, perfect for the theme. And of course, I'd be remiss not to mention Steam pianist and his frequent creative partner and lyricist Morbid Morsel, though I'm not really looking to promote any of their songs in particular. The duo is well known for their horror-themed songs, some of the most popular of which are either directly Halloween-themed or were released to coincide with the holiday. However, they haven't always handled what are often very dark subject matters with much delicacy, let's say, and Steam has accordingly been at the center of some controversy in the past. I don't know enough details to cast judgment on the matter, and frankly, I don't really want to. This podcast hasn't got quite enough mileage on it yet to justify poking into the wasp's nest that is old English Vocaloid fandom drama. But short of proof that Steam or Morbid actually did something serious, proof which, as far as I know, doesn't exist, my being personally kinda skeeved out is no reason to pretend that Steam wasn't and isn't a popular and influential artist. This is especially true when it comes to the horror content that people often make around Halloween, and the popularity of the Vocaloid Oliver for those kinds of songs. Suffice to say, Halloween vocal synth content runs the gamut from party music to murder ballads, and Steam Pianist has contributed a lot more to the latter than the former. Moving on, I'm not as well informed about the Mandarin or Korean Vocaloid scenes as I am the Japanese or English ones, but they've gotten in on the game too. Music M, under the label Mikai Music, released a song with lyrics by Da Ming and vocals by Miku Chinese titled Halloween Meng, or Halloween Dream, in 2017. I can't find very much information on Music M beyond her brief blurb on the Mikai Music website, which, for what it's worth, was not playing nice with my Translate extension. But Halloween Meng was created as part of the mass upload campaign for Miku's 10th anniversary in 2017. It later featured in the Chinese mobile game Hatsune Miku Roller Skating Music. As far as I can tell, it's some kind of a rhythm game, but one where you slide an icon around instead of tapping like in Project Diva or Project Sekai. Besides Halloween Meng, which had the advantage of using the English word Halloween so I could track it down easier, I could only find one other Chinese song that I know for sure is a Halloween song and not just somebody being edgy in October. Hello Candy with Luo Tianyi was uploaded to Bilibili in 2014 and doesn't seem to have been put anywhere else since, or translated for that matter. However, the chorus happens to be in English. Tianyi chants, "Hello, hello, open the door, give me candy, more and more." Trick-or-treating isn't really a thing in China, but clearly the idea has some appeal there anyway. I had a little more luck with Korean songs, which is fair enough. Halloween's more popular in South Korea than China anyway. Producer Compass Cat, also known as Poltercat, released a charming little jig with Uni called Halloween in the Nightmare on Halloween 2017, as well as a piano ballad with CU called Treat, Please Treat on November 7th, 2020. These are both on the lower end of Compass's view counts, and admittedly not what I'd consider their best work, but on the whole I'd say that Compass Cat is pretty underrated, so please do check their channel out. And there were a few other Korean Halloween songs out there, though regrettably most of them don't have English translations. Only Summer released Halloween Girls Parade with Uni in 2019, and Halloween Surprise Attack by Maro from the following year has some pretty cool illustrations in the music video, though I don't love the song. One, Kamen Yang, has featured CU and Uni on songs like Halloween Little Ghost and Bad Ending in Halloween from 2017 and 2018. And they've even dabbled in other holidays with songs like January 2018's Christmas in Reviews. With these Korean and Chinese songs, we've gotten into some lesser-known artists compared to the likes of Junkie or Hachi, but we're still barely scratching the surface of small-time Halloween songs. There are hundreds of them on the Vocaloid lyrics wiki, with view counts ranging from the thousands to just a few dozen, most of them in Japanese. Some, admittedly, are obscure because they aren't that good. But some have had a moment of popularity, though they're pretty old now and just have been forgotten. And a couple only came out recently and just haven't had the time for the word to spread. And regardless of why these hidden gems are hidden, there are a few I'd like to mention before I wrap up. First, while I was researching, I found a French song called Châtiment de Halloween from 2017 by an artist called Yokol. It features the alter ego voice bank Alice, and the vocals are honestly pretty rough, even grading on the janky alter ego curve. But the underlying composition of the song is solid, and I have a soft spot for vocal synth content in Romance languages. Speaking of, there was a whole compilation album of mostly Spanish Halloween songs released by the collective Vocalopi Hispanos in 2019, called Vocaloween Halloween Party. My favorite song off the album is Dulce Halloween by Black SP with Rin and Len, who sound pretty good considering their voice banks aren't designed for Spanish. All told, Rin and Len seem pretty popular for Halloween songs. Kid P released a jazzy Rin and Len Halloween number in 2012 called Halloween in Prison, and Obake no Shiwaza, also known as Yomoto, released a Rin and Len song with a similar swing vibe called Halloween Night Orchestra in 2022. Polyphonic Branch, who would later gain renown for songs like 2D Dream Fever, released a song in 2011 called Pumpkin Syndrome with Rin and Len. It featured on the UMAA Gothic and Horror compilation album, alongside songs like Trick and Treat and Giga Cartoon Witch. Speaking of ensemble pieces, if you're a fan of old-school V1 and V2 voice banks, Coda P released a song called Halloween Requiem in 2010, which got a remaster 4 years later. It features Leon, Lola, Miriam, Big Al, and Sonica, though Sonica gets swapped out for Sweet Anne in the remaster. All of them are tuned with really impressive clarity considering the limitations on these older voice banks, and the music video is awesome. Swinging all the way around to the other end of my recency bias, just a month ago, Shudo, another producer known for releasing pretty scary content year-round, released Amazing Happy Halloween Night. It features Hatsune Miku on vocals and a whole gang of bizarre creatures dancing their way through the music video. Notwithstanding that I'm pretty sure this is the first time he's written about Halloween specifically, the song is classic Shudo from start to finish. I'm willing to bet it'll go down as a classic with the likes of Mrs. Pumpkin. And finally, I started off this showcase with Oster Project, and on October 25th, she debuted a brand new song that was perfect to complete the bookends. Kyosho Tricksters features Hatsune Miku, Kasane Teto, and Zundaman. A vocal synth hat trick, with each of these voice banks running on a different engine. They're dressed up for the music video as a sexy nun, an even sexier zombie nurse, and a werewolf, respectively. There's no real story as far as I can tell, with the song still untranslated, but there's lots of quirky, scary imagery and a ridiculously catchy electro swing beat. Oster's top-notch jazz composition is on full display here, though she also samples a bit from an older big band song. Special shout out to YouTube user Vapor Gave for identifying it in the comments as Loving You the Way I Do by Burt Lone and his Hotel Biltmore Orchestra, released all the way back in 1930. Oster probably used this song because it's a bop in its own right, but it feels kind of appropriate to end with that kind of a throwback. A lot of the secular American Halloween traditions that I mentioned earlier, like trick-or-treating, costume parties, and haunted houses, those really took off in the 20s and 30s. Now that the holidays spread around much of the world, these traditions have much more staying power than ever, but also more potential to evolve and change with the input from newer celebrants. Even so, I'd say the core of Halloween remains the same. The days are getting shorter, and humankind has always feared the dark. Whether you believe in a thinning of the veil between worlds or simply think that chill up your spine is a sign of winter coming, the end of October has become the time for all things strange and crooked to take center stage. Whether you celebrate by seeking out the most ghastly scares you can find or simply allowing a little orange-tinted whimsy into your life, the world of vocal synth will be standing by, ready with the perfect ghoulish soundtrack to carry you through the night. Happy Halloween, everyone, and happy listening. 39 big thank yous for listening, everyone. If you haven't yet, follow this pod, leave a review if you're feeling generous, and check out linktree/Happy Synthesizers to find the full suite of social media, listening platforms, transcripts, and sources documents. Happy Synthesizers is written and performed by Kay Judson. The theme music is Ivan Polka, arranged with inspiration from Lloyd Tuma and Automania.